Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. I have done a complete 180 around Citizen watches over the last few years. Initially, I ignored them entirely. Then I called them boring and vanilla. But now I appreciate Citizen for the value for money, for the build quality, for the fantastic warranty, and for the fact that they usually line up as they should. I even dropped decent coin on one of their JDM Chrono Masters last year. By and large though, I have mostly kept reviews to the sub $500 Citizens. So I was delighted when my good friend Mr. P told me he had bought a brand new Citizen ProMaster diver that is getting rave reviews. For example, Fratello said, "This watch is damn near the best thing you can get at its price point," and that it awoke a certain type of giddy excitement that you only feel occasionally. Now personally, I'm always up for some giddy excitement, so I enthusiastically opened the box and was confronted by the most boring watch I've seen all year. Now, of course, this is deeply subjective. I could have got it all wrong. So I'm going to try and recreate that unboxing experience for all of you today. And you can tell me just how giddy and just how excited this watch makes you feel. Let's flip the camera and get on with it. All right, are you ready to get giddy with excitement? I hope you are. So I'm gonna unbox it, then I'm gonna do a kind of 1 minute review on it, show you what my problem is with this watch. Then I'll go into the watch's backstory, because it does actually have a backstory, talk about price. And if you're still here at that point, I'll then move into our normal review, dimensions, specifications, and we'll break down the individual components of this one. If you're still here, that is. Okay, well, it comes in one of the bigger boxes. Now, the bigger boxes is a bit of a tell. It's not the sliding one, it's the one with the ProMaster air canister. Again, I mentioned this in the intro, one of the best things about buying a Citizen from an authorised Aussie retailer is the 5-year warranty. 1 year if you're buying it on eBay, but 5 years if you're buying it from an AD. This is the NB6021-17E, and it has a caliber 9051. Now that sounds suspiciously like a caliber 9015 to me. It is a Miyota. I will talk about the movement later. But hey, I know you're itching to get into this diving thing here. You're itching to see what the watch looks like, and there it is. Now feel free to have a seat or do some breathing exercises if it's all getting a bit too much for you. Hang on to a chair if you're struggling for balance, if you're just getting too giddy and too excited. And hey, who can blame you? Look at this watch. Look at the black and white colorway, the Mercedes hands, the blandest chips aluminium bezel insert. Look at the utterly dull titanium mid-case, nondescript, no chamfers, no creases, no high polished edges, no nothing. Look at the, I believe, stainless steel bezel, which doesn't match and isn't particularly grippy. Look at that tiny crown on the opposite side. Look at the caseback, which is completely dull. Look at the strap, the rubber strap, which has no Citizen branding, no markings on it whatsoever. Buckle and tang, nothing like that. Underside, nope, not there at all. 2 retainers, nothing on the underneath, nothing anywhere. Look at the dial and handset. Marvel at their use of color. Black and white. Look at those indices. Look at the date in the traditional 3 o'clock position. Look at those Mercedes hands. You can see why I'm claiming this to be the most boring watch of the year, can't you? And it's not cheap either. $12.50 is the Aussie RRP on a rubber strap. Now, if you shop around, you can get that down to $8.50 from a discount retailer, and you'll still get the full warranty from a discount retailer. Now, the USA RRP Citizen themselves have actually got a sale on at the moment, $600 USD. Again, not particularly cheap. That brings it roughly in line with the Aussie discount retailer price. Now, I should point out there is a blue version of this watch. It is titanium on the bracelet. I guess there are parallels to be drawn with the Tudor Pelagos 39, and this watch is certainly more economical than that, coming in at $1,000 rather than about $6,000. And the blue at least adds something, it adds a bit of colour, but I'm still not sure it adds enough. So what about this watch's deep backstory then, according to Citizen themselves? Well, apparently the watch was inspired by the 1977 Citizen Challenge Diver. Here is one in dubious condition that I found on eBay, $2.5 grand if you do want to pick up an original, by the way. Apparently one of these Citizen Challenge divers washed up on an Australian beach in 1983 and it was still ticking despite the fact that it was covered in barnacles, having been submerged in the Pacific for years. That's why they call this model the Fujitsubo, meaning barnacle. I don't call that a deep backstory, I'm afraid. I call that pretty thin. But hey, I guess other companies have released reissues for less than that, so I can't really criticise Citizen. It does have a nice set of dimensions on this one, those being 41mm in diameter. It's a watch that wears small and looks small. I thought it was a 40 or perhaps even a 39. I was surprised when I got the calipers out. 12.2mm thick though. I did say this one was Miyota 9000 series powered. Yeah, not a thick watch as a consequence. 48 lug to lug, 20mm lug width, and as supplied on the rubber strap it weighs in at 71 grams. Normally I would be all over a super lightweight titanium diver, ISO certified 200 meters of water resistance with a high beat auto movement, but yeah, obviously I'm just not. It will wear okay. This is Citizen's proprietary super titanium with Duratec coating. It doesn't scratch nearly as easily as raw untreated grade 2 tie would do. Yeah, screw down crown with the ProMaster logo on it, but it is a bit small. It's a 60 click unidirectional bezel. I don't mind a 60 click bezel occasionally myself. Could be grippier though. It's not awful because the bezel action is quite light. If the bezel action had been more robust, I think that in combination with the high polished slippy bezel, I would have been complaining even harder than I already am. I showed you the Caseback very briefly earlier on, and frankly that's probably all anyone ever needs to see of this Caseback. Now the strap is very comfortable, very soft, very flexible, and doesn't attract fluff. It's not one of those silicone ones that just ends up covered in junk at the first sign of it. Hardware is okay, but it's all pretty unremarkable. Dial and hands, I'll chuck in a bit of outdoor macro here as well. We're not going to be here long, frankly, because again, there's nothing remarkable about this at all. Kind of standard index layout. They are applied indices, high polished silver surrounds with lume filled centers, larger rectangles at 12, 6 and 9, smaller rectangular baton shaped indices everywhere else. There's a printed minute track around the outer edges. Citizen automatic branding above the pinion, the ProMaster logo, diver's apostrophe because it is ISO certified, 200 meters and titanium beneath the pinion, date complication with a printed frame at the 3 o'clock. Semi-skeletonized Mercedes hour hand, standard minute hand, beveled down the middle, high polish, lollipop second hand, and I'm finished. I'm all out of words. Bezel insert is aluminium as discussed. The printing is okay, it's fairly legible, it's graded to 15 minutes, and it has a recessed lume pip in the triangle. I'm sorry, I have nothing more interesting for you than that. On wrist, at least, it does wear very nicely. You can barely feel the thing because it only weighs in at 70 grams, that strap being so comfortable as well. And it doesn't wear like a 41 at all. I honestly thought it was a 40 or perhaps even a 39. You can barely feel it then, but you can hear it. Hello again, my friends. It's been a while. These are the kittens of Rotor Noise doom if you haven't met them before. This is a titanium watch with a unidirectional Miyota movement in it. One that certainly makes its presence felt. You can hear this thing from arm's length most of the time that you're wearing it. Now look, I know some people enjoy hearing their automatic watches rotor wind. Me, I just don't, I'm afraid. So this is by no means a beat up of Citizen as a brand today. I have bought or borrowed a number of their watches over the last couple of years and really enjoyed them. I have found quirks, I have found charms, I have found attributes that make me go back to them again and again. I even awarded Gary from Birmingham Citizen the Dial of the Year Award 2022 for this simply stunning looking arrangement. And I reviewed Paul's much more economical but much more charming full titanium Pro Masters only about 4 weeks ago now. I would much rather have either of these plus the change in my pocket than the Barnacle. I think I probably better wrap this one up at this point. I don't think there's anything else I want to say about this watch that I haven't already said about this watch a couple of times. And frankly, pictures like this speak for themselves, I believe. It's boring followed by boring followed by boring followed by more boring. I am delighted for the chap from Fratello who got giddy with excitement about this one. Perhaps he's a little more easy to please than I am these days. So there you have it. I like Citizens, I like dive watches, I like titanium watches, and I like retro reissues. And yet somehow this watch leaves me completely cold. If you want to see me be a little bit more enthusiastic about some different Citizens, click here or click here. Thanks for watching this one. I hope to see you all again in a future video.